This steampunk tank top started with my sister's junk journal. A couple years ago, she was working on a steampunk themed junk journal. Gears, brass buttons, Victorian silhouettes. And I got completely inspired. I saw crochet potential everywhere. What if I could translate that paper aesthetic into fiber? What if each element became a motif I could stitch? So I started designing. I made enough motifs for 3 tank tops. This is the first one I've assembled. But as I worked, something unexpected happened. A story emerged about a reluctant crocheter who inherits unfinished work, about motifs that hold secrets, about what happens when you complete something someone else has started. So I wrote a 10-episode series called Stitch for Rebellion. My sister's journal inspired the aesthetic. The tank top inspired the narrative. And you're about to experience both. Before we begin, I need to tell you something. Tamara, this episode, this entire series is my birthday gift to you. Your journal didn't just inspire a tank top. It sparked a 10-episode story. It reminded me why I create. It gave me permission to blend craft with narrative in a way I've never done before. You're not just my sister. You're my creative catalyst. And in this story, you're Tamara, the master crafter whose unfinished work sets everything in motion. Happy birthday. You're the main character now. This is Stitched for Rebellion, Episode 1, Pinned. The day began like any other until the door hinge sang. It was a sound Moo hadn't heard in years. Not the squeal of metal fatigue or the slow sigh of rusted gears. This was different. A 3-note chime, high and delicate like a music box winding itself awake. The sound the hinge made only when something was tucked inside it. Mo froze mid-stitch, her crochet hook suspended above a drooping circle of half-formed lace. Her eyes flicked to the door. Thimble's ears perked instantly, his tail beginning a slow spiral. He leaped down from his usual perch atop the windowsill, landing with a soft thump on the worn rug, and padded over to the door with cautious reverence. Mo stood. The air shifted. Her workshop was a cluttered haven of orphaned fabric, old spools, hanging sketches, and the smell of scorched tea leaves. Light filtered through yellowing curtains, casting threads of sunlight across unfinished projects. In the far corner, a box labeled, "Do Not Touch, Tea," collected dust. She stepped to the door. Caught within the brass hinge's grasp was an envelope, thick, handmade paper with frayed, deckled edges, folded with care. The parchment was the color of old bones, and it bore no address, only her name. Mo. Written in sharp, careful scrawl she hadn't seen in over 2 years. Her breath hitched. No postmark, no sender, just a seal, a flat brass button. The kind Tamara always carried in her pocket, threaded through with a cross of black yarn. Mo reached out slowly, as if the paper might burn her. Thimble sat beside her feet now, his marbled eyes locked on the envelope, tail swishing with quiet anticipation. She snapped the yarn with a soft tug. The envelope released a single sheet, no thicker than a grocery list, folded once. As she unfolded it, the scent of camphor and old lilac rose faintly, a scent she hadn't smelled since she last held one of Tamara's sweaters. The message was just 3 words. It's time. Tea. The hook dropped from her fingers. She stared. The room felt suddenly smaller, as if it were folding in around her. The clatter of the hook against the wood floor sounded far away, underwater. Thimble let out a low purring trill and nudged her boat with his nose. Mo pressed the note to her chest for a moment, her other hand curling into a fist. "You can't just say that," she whispered. "Not after 2 years. Not like this." Thimble padded over to her satchel, pawed it open, and began dragging it toward the door with stubborn little huffs. "No," she said flatly. He hissed at her, just once, and sat like a stone. She looked again at the button, still tangled in its bits of thread on the floor. Tamara's buttons always matched the story. Black thread, brass seal, a warning. Or maybe a key? Mo crossed the room slowly, retrieved the crochet hook from where it lay glinting on the floor, and slipped it into her pocket. "All right," she said to Thimble. "Let's go see what the dead left behind." The streets of Lower Farinwick were always wet, even when it didn't rain. Steam leaked from cracked pipes like sighs, curling around the crooked iron walkways and rust-slick cables that stitched the city together. Lamps swung on chains, their amber eyes flickering dimly through the midday haze. Every corner dripped, every alley echoed. Mo moved through it like someone returning to a childhood home they'd sworn to forget. Thimble rode curled around her shoulders like a living scarf, his claws buried gently into her coat's thick collar. Occasionally his tail would flick her cheek, a silent question she didn't answer. She hadn't been back to the workshop since that night. The day Tamara vanished, the sky over Farinwick had turned the color of spun lead. The city buzzed with the kind of energy that made clocks lose time. There had been rumors, of course, of a forbidden pattern, of the Stitchers' Guild issuing warnings, of a black border no one dared finish. Mo had ignored all of them until today. The building still stood, number 88 Gilderhook Road. A narrow brick tower wedged like a splinter between 2 large factories, its windows shuttered, its iron door rusted shut by neglect. Ivy climbed one side like a forgotten stitches. The painted sign above the lintel read, T. Drell, Textile Sculpture and Patternist. The lettering was puling, but her sister's name still caught Mo in the chest. She pressed her palm to the lock plate. Nothing. She dug into her satchel, fingers brushing the old spare hook Tamara had given her once, years ago, when they'd share more than just silence. She hesitated. Then she inserted it into the tiny hidden slot beneath the handle. A click. Then a sigh, like breath escaping a sealed tomb. The door opened inward with the reluctant groan of time unlacing. It smelled like dust. Something older. Not rot. Not decay. Just abandonment. The smell of half-finished genius left alone too long. The workshop was exactly as Tamara had left it, which was to say, beautiful chaos. Spools of yarn were stacked in color gradients like cascading rainbows along the back wall. Suspended mobiles of bent copper wire and hanging lace fragments twisted gently in the still air. A clock shaped like a button spun backward on the far wall. Every surface was covered in diagrams, swatches, coffee-ringed notes, scraps of half-crocheted shapes that pulsed faintly when Mo passed them. Thimble leaped to the nearest work table and immediately began sniffing a ceramic bowl filled with old stitch markers. But Mo was looking at the center of the room. The mannequin stood beneath a cone of pale light filtering through the grimy skylight above. On it, the tank top, unfinished, pinned in place with long black needles, one of each hem, holding the shimmering garment in a kind of suspended breath. Threads of gold, silver, copper, and deep matte black twisted together in impossible precision, like someone had spun memory into metal. 9 distinct motifs spiraled across its surface. The octopus, the butterfly, the hot air balloon, the silhouette, and the 10th space, the border, still empty. The tank top looked fragile, delicate, but Mo could feel it humming. Not sound, not movement, but something in the chest, in the teeth. A quiet thrum that matched her heartbeat. "Tamara?" she whispered. The mannequin didn't answer, but the garment did. A single thread at the hem twisted ever so slightly in the air, like it was waiting. The mannequin was headless, armless, and somehow still expectant. Mo stepped toward it, slowly, as if approaching a shrine. Her boots whispered across the warped wood floor, the air growing inexplicably warmer with each pace. The closer she got, the more the tank top pulled at her. Not physically, but magnetically, like a thread tugging at her chest bone. The garment shimmered, even in the dusty gloom. Gold, silver, copper, and black, intertwined in an impossible lattice. Tight, geometric, and somehow soft, like machinery that remembered tenderness. It was only half finished, but already it pulsed with presence. Mo stopped a breath away. The motifs had always been Tamara's obsession. She used to talk about them like they were people. "They're not decorations," she told Mo once, laughing over tea. "They're instructions, wounds, dreams, warnings." Mo never understood that. Not then. Now the octopus on the left shoulder looked like it was coiling deeper into the fabric. The glasses at the hem gleamed dully like closed eyes. And the silhouette, the one with 2 faceless forms, one small, one tall, sat centered at the heart of the chest. incomplete. Tamara had never finished the border. She'd left the edge raw, threads dangling like veins. No trim, no closure, just anticipation. Mo reached out, then stopped. The fabric was warm. That made no sense. The room was cold. The skylight above cracked open to the irony gray sky. But the tank top radiated a subtle heat, like skin after sun. Mo drew her fingers back. Behind her, Thimble growled. It was a low, almost mechanical noise, more gear rattle than throat. He had dropped into a crouch atop a nearby shelf, fur bristling in a gradient from copper to near black. His eyes were locked on something behind Mo. She spun. Nothing there. Just the spinning button clock. The air was still, heavy. "Don't do that," she muttered, though her voice cracked. Thimble didn't move. Mo turned back to the tank top and noticed something. The black pins holding it in place, long, curved like styluses, were vibrating. Barely. Like blocked tuning forks at the edge of her vision. She reached toward one, slowly, fingers poised to pull. Just as she touched the first pin, the room gave a little jolt. Not an earthquake, not a sound, but a shift, like something had just breathed in. Mo froze. The pin felt warm, too. The same unnatural warmth as the garment. She pulled it. With a soft click, the pin slid free. Nothing happened. At first. Then another pin, untouched, snapped itself loose and flew clattering to the floor. The entire tank top slumped. A sound escaped it. Not a noise, exactly. More a sigh. Soft and old and laced with thread. Thimble yelped. The mannequin leaned forward an inch, as if bowing. And Mo was left staring at the garment, now freed, now heavy in the air, its weight no longer supported by anything but intention. The unfinished edge curled ever so slightly, like a question. The last pin hit the floor with a sound too sharp for metal. Mo stood very still. The tank top now slumped on the mannequin like a creature out of breath. The air buzzed faintly, a whisper of tension lingering in the seams of the room. Thimble made a low, warbling chirp, then darted from his perch across the table. He leaped gracefully into a stack of overturned crates in the corner and began digging with sudden, frantic determination. Mo turned. Thimble? He pawed at something tucked behind a half-toppled stool. A small leather case, wrapped in faded red thread. When he managed to drag it out with his teeth, he dropped it at Mo's boots and sat back, tail twitching like a question mark. She bent to pick it up. The case was old. She knew it before even opening it. The soft creak of the leather, the careful stitchwork on the edge. This was Tamara's travel hook case. She hasn't seen it in... No, She hadn't seen it since. The clasp popped open. Inside, nestled in dark velvet, was a single crochet hook. It shimmered like no metal Mo had ever used. Somewhere between silver and tarnished gold, with a faint bluish core, like it was remembering lightning. Its handle was wrapped in copper wire, worn smooth where fingers had pressed. The moment she touched it, the air grew thicker, not hot, but charged like a storm about to speak. Folded beside the hook was a slip of paper, folded perfectly, sealed with a narrow strip of wax shaped like a butterfly. Mo opened it with fingers that didn't quite feel like hers. The handwriting was unmistakable. Mo, if you're reading this, the tank top has unpinned itself. That means the work is ready. Or you are. Each motif must be completed, one at a time. No skipping. When you reach the border, don't add the black trim until you're ready. You'll know what that means when the time comes. T. Mo closed her eyes, clutching the note to her chest. Her throat tightened. Tamara's words weren't poetic. They never had been, but they were precise, just like her stitches. And this one was meant for Mo. No one else. She opened her eyes. The tank top was now hanging entirely on its own. No pins, no support. Balanced on the mannequin like a living thing. Thimble climbed onto the work table and sat, waiting. The hook pulsed once in her hand, just faintly, as if grating her skin. Mo looked at the note again. You'll know what that means when the time comes. She set the paper beside the case and stepped forward. The tank top didn't move, but it no longer looked inert. The threads seemed to shimmer slightly at the edges, like they were catching light from a source that wasn't in the room. Mo stepped closer, the copper planks of the floor groaning under her boots. 9 motifs, all distinct, all familiar. Her eyes fell to the center of the chest, where the silhouette motif lived, a stylized image of 2 faceless figures, tall and small, facing opposite directions. She knew it instantly. Tamara had been working on it the last time they had spoke. Mo had teased her about it. What are you making? The logo for sibling regret? And Tamara had smiled that quiet, closed-mouthed way she always did when she knew something Mo didn't. Now the motif was unfinished. A stitch in the shoulder of one silhouette had been left open. A gap, so tiny most wouldn't notice. But it called to her. She raised her hand. The hook in her other hand hummed faintly, as if urging her to wait. But she ignored it. And with 2 fingers, she brushed the open motif. Nothing happened for a breath. Then it pulsed. Not a light, not heat. A pulse, like something alive behind the fabric. A quiet thump, no larger than a moth's heartbeat, but undeniable. Mo stepped back, heart pounding. Behind her, a shadow moved. She spun, hook raised, but there was nothing there. Just the scattered light through the skylight, and the swirl of dust dancing in the air like lost thread. "Don't," she whispered aloud to no one. "Not yet." Thimble let out a soft, warning growl from the work table, his fur darkening toward black. His ears were flat. The pulse stopped. The room went still again. But the tank top wasn't the same. The silhouette motif now looked deeper, like the yarn had sunk slightly into the fabric, and something behind it was breathing, slow and shallow. Mo stared at it, her fingers trembling. Then she looked at the hook and understood. This wasn't going to be about remembering Tamara. This was going to be about following her. It began with a soft metallic tick, then another, then two in quick succession. Mo's eyes darted to the hem of the tank top, where the last few black pins still clung to the mannequin's fabric like anchor points. One by one, they began to snap loose. Not violently, but decisively, as if the garment had finally made up its mind. Click, tap, click, click, flip. Each pin landed on the wooden floor with a subtle finality, scattering in a perfect arc across Mo's boots. Thimble hissed, full-throated now, and leaped down from the table, bristling like a spool of angry thread. He darted to Mo's side and pressed against her ankle, tail wrapping tight. The last pin trembled. Mo didn't move. The pin lunged upward, not at her, but simply into the air, and it fell with a sharp ping against the brass floor vent. The tank top impaled. That was the only way she could describe it. The garment shifted on the mannequin, not falling, not folding, but settling. Like it had taken a deep breath after years of holding one in. It slumped forward into her waiting hands, its weight suddenly real. She didn't remember moving, but there she was, cradling it. The tank top was soft but dense. It felt heavier than a yarn should, as if each motif carried something buried beneath the stitches. Memory? Time? Weight? Mo looked down at it, and the room changed. Not visibly, nothing moved, but the air itself seemed fuller. There was a voice, no louder than a rustle of fabric, but inside her ear, as though whispered from the inside of the hook she still clutched in her fist. "Hello, Mo." She didn't speak. "You've come late, but you've come." "Who are you?" she whispered. There was a silence. Then, "I am what remains of her. I am what she stitched when no one listened. I am woven." Mo's heart thundered once. Deep, low, slow. "She thought you wouldn't come, but I hoped you would." Mo swallowed, her throat dry. Thimble whined once and pawed at her calf. The tank top felt warmer now. Alive. She gripped it tighter and took one step back from the mannequin. The whisper in her mind still echoing like thread snapping tight in the dark.